Sure. It all started actually when I joined the military at an early age. I was what they call a 90252. I don't think they still use those codes anymore. But it had to do with being like a surgical technician, just a person who hands instruments to the physician.
Okay.
And I was also a paramedic and a surgical first assist. And then I became a teacher for that very quickly, overnight. And then when I moved to Kirtland Air Force Base, they offered me a special, what we call moonlighting job, they call it. And I was still a kid, you understand. I was very young, but I was, very intelligent and very mature for my age at that time. And I was fascinated when they were putting me in charge of million-dollar equipment that not normal people would be able to even utilize, or even it's not even ready for, even be able to use for civilians yet.
Right. Okay.
I already have my own place on the base. And I work at a hospital off the base. The VA Kirtland Air Force Base hospital is actually off base, which is odd.
Well, we have New Mexico and Nevada near each other, and of course, we have Area 51 in Nevada.
They're all connected.
So, have you ever ridden the sub-shuttle system?
Only from Sandia to Los Alamos, and I might have went to Dulce and back, but I don't know where it stopped because they had to do something. There's 4 of them.
Four of what?
These maglev type trains.
Okay.
A lot of the craft that I was kind of brought into different projects to look at the craft, because the craft were actually alive.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
The craft were alive.
The craft were alive, and they were conscious.
Right. So let's talk about how you got started with extraterrestrial biology. Were you aware at first that you were autopsying ETs?
No.
How did they do that?
And it was really funny too, because the entrance to where I was going was Sandia Labs, but it wasn't in their compound. It was like another little building, but it goes down, 30 some floors. And when I got down there, and they took me down these hallways, and they were just on my first day, I just remember I was in this little room, kind of like you would see in the movies, where the room's kind of all white with the little table, steel table, and all these instruments there, and you're escorted to this place. And you get in there, and there's this piece of tissue, and it's all positive pressure air system. And so I go in there, and you do scrub out, just like a surgeon scrubs and puts his gowns on and the hoods and stuff. You do go in there, do all that. And you label like you would, like when you were in the biology school, a frog. You're like, right. Okay, this is a muscle, this is a tongue, or whatever. And I was just there to label and take small samples and put them in these different types of jars and vats and containers, which I would then push through a drawer in a wall, and someone else would take it, and that was it. So I was basically taking tissue samples from whatever piece of tissue it was. Some looked like salmon, some look like, I don't even know, can't even explain it. But then every 3 to 6 months, you get a upper security clearance. So I stayed with that. But it was always different. And then the samples started getting more intact, where you could tell that, whoa, this is a hand, And I could not tell you what that is at that point. I couldn't even say, and you're not allowed to ask anything. You just do that, and you don't talk to anybody, and that's your job. And
what if you told your friends or your family? Like, were you given security briefings about that?
I would be killed. The most fascinating ones were the giant insect. These hands were just enormous, and they were not only living tissue, they were plant tissue as well.
Really?
Yes. So they had some sort of thing they were making or growing that involved plant tissue with some other sort of living tissue, which they would mix many different types of hybrid tissues together. It's old school, everybody knows that in these projects, and you've probably heard about it out there. They've mixed every type of animal tissue, DNA with human, to see what happens.
Like Dulce, New Mexico.
Yeah, all that kind of crazy stuff. So, And then they started adding and adding and adding, and then when they started getting things from up there, that's when it got weird.
Is there a parking lot, or do you have an underground parking garage?
Yes,
Let's just-
exactly.
okay.
Kind of like you hear the stories about people flying out of Nevada or whatever, go to Area 51, you know. There's
Right.
only one way in and out. Well, with these places, there's multiple places in and out, depending on where you're going to be working and what section. And they're very large underground facilities. You know, there's a whole medical thing to it, too. And there's actually a small little city of people that actually live there that do not come to the surface usually, that I'm aware of.
Right.
And it's a very dynamic setup. So for me, since I was already living on the base, it was easy because I just rode my bicycle to this small building. So the small building, which you would just think would be a fire tower or whatever, is actually, you know, just in the middle of a big area. And you could park 1,000 cars there if you want. No one would even think anything, you know. So you go in and you take an elevator down, and you get on a big hallway. It's an escalator, and the escalator kind of just like you would see at an airport. And then the escalator is really long. You're on the escalator for about 10 minutes.
Oh, wow.
So you're
And is it
actually
moving
going
fast?
somewhere else. Yes, it's very fast.
Really?
Yes, yeah. You can actually sit down on it.
What are you seeing? Is it a tunnel?
Just a tunnel. It's a hallway. It's white, and it has a black marble ceiling, like black onyx. I don't know what it is. If
Oh,
it's,
wow.
they can see through it, but it's a very different, back then that was very different to see, of course. So when you get to the end, you go through your check station.
What does it look like? Where are you? What do you see? You were in a tunnel. But
Yeah.
what do you see once you get off the gun?
There's glass doors there, seamless. They open up like you would see in Star Trek, like whoosh, you know, they open up.
Oh, wow.
And there's these two stations. And if there's someone in both stations, you know, you have to wait outside the glass, like the other people might be before you check in.
Oh, they're being interviewed or something?
Yeah, they're being checked in.
Okay.
And so there's two other glass stations. So when you go, this opens up. Now you have a security check guy here and a security check guy here. And
So what would happen with these soldiers at the desks? What do you?
well, they check your palm print, your retina scan, and then you show them your card. You know, a very generic card. Just yeah, and that just tells you how many wings go down there. Each wing could have up to 30 to 50 rooms.
Wow.
Yeah, of these types of vacuum rooms.
And how many floors do you think there are?
Where I was,
Yeah.
oh, over 50.
Wow.
Over 50 floors, just in the medical one. And then it got, you know, more and more stranger, and I would get better and better samples. And it was frustrating because, you know, you're not allowed to ask, well, what is this from? Where is it? Or how did you get it? Or you're just there to do the sampling and get out, you know? And then once the bodies came, you know, that was probably after maybe 10 months. Yeah. When, like, partial bodies, not full bodies. I didn't get full bodies till way at the end, and then I got, you know, out because I got emotional about it, I guess.
Right.
And recently, you know, it's been getting a little violent.
We have a photograph of a head-on collision that you suffered 30 minutes after I leaked more of your information in an article.
Yeah.
And you're very lucky to be alive.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's been shot at, been stabbed, been jumped by 3 agents, got my butt kicked. I mean, I've been through it all.